Okay, so we led a very regimented life because of Sam. And then I think we're getting out by climbing, aren't we? To these crazy extensions that were built.
My mom moved up to the loft after her brothers died.
I love these gloves, man.
At the time, it was as far away as she could get.
Dawn. Looks like she turned to religion to help deal with her grief, perhaps. Mandala. Was Sanjay like a first love of hers? Or is that our father? No, it's not going to be our father. Because he died. Oh, when did he die? It said on the tombstone. Is that the date he died there? No, I think that's just when that was taken. That's
She
1986.
spent a summer building houses in Calcutta, where she met my dad, Sanjay.
Oh, that is her dad. So her dad died as well. So her dad's Sanjay. Awesome. Where helping hands create safe places. 10 ways to teach critical thinking. So, this was her schedule. Copy passport for volunteer centre, pack, meet with relief representative, fly to India. Oh, sorry, after school teaching, and then, yeah. Oh, can we not read Dawn's little diary there? Oh, nearly missed that.
Religion was another thing my mom never talked about, but I think it helped her a lot after her dad died.
Right, let's head up
My mom
even
moved
more.
to India a week after graduation and got a job teaching English. Lewis was born a year later.
No, we can't go down there.
When my dad died, I don't think Mom knew where else to go.
So she came back here.
I'm sure Edie was happy to have her back.
Milton, Lewis,
And see the
Edith.
kids in the house again. The house had to get a little bigger, but Edie was used to that.
Kind of crazy that it's still standing with all these extensions. So I'm thinking back to all the deaths. You know, like if we have a look at the tree here, which ones were accidents and which ones were weird. So the Molly and Barbara's were both weird. Calvin's, Gregory's, and Gus's and Sam's were all accidents, it seems. So Calvin fell off the swing. Sam was knocked off that cliff by the book. Gus was hit by the debris. Gregory drowned in the bath. But Walter, Barbara, and Molly all died in more mysterious descriptions or circumstances. Barbara was murdered seemingly but you know, because it was told in that cartoon, you don't know what to take from that. Odin died on the trying to bring the house over, right? I think I'm right about that. Molly's was very weird and involved dreams and her saying she knew she was going to die. Walter, when he was exiting that train track tunnel. Yeah, so it's a mix, isn't it?
And for a while, things were good. Almost normal.
Oh, they were homeschooled. That's never a good idea. Right, I'm just double checking I haven't missed like a little diary in the menu here. Nope. Yeah, homeschooled, man. I mean, you can be homeschooled. Fine, I guess. It's not the school part that matters, it's the interacting with all your crazy classmates. Our family history, fact or fiction?
But it didn't last.
Got anything of interest in here? Odin Finch, myth, the curse in our history. That's something that Edith made. Relief efforts end in disaster. Oh, is that where their dad died, maybe? I can read that hundreds of relief volunteers are injured or dead after the effects of a second earthquake. So that must be how Sanjay died.
The beginning of the end was Milton's 10th birthday, when Edie gave him a castle.
That's sealed shut as well.
After Milton disappeared, the only thing he left behind was a room full of paintings.
Wow. There was... Yeah, it's got some like schematics or like a drawing up there, hasn't it? Oh no, it's more like a building, isn't it? Is it? Can you imagine if he's still alive? Is that paint? Yeah, it's paint. Really wish we had a torch. Yeah, he was into his architecture. He's got another floor up there. I wonder if he's still alive. The magic paintbrush.
Milton Finch in The Magic Paintbrush.
I love these gloves, man. I'm gonna buy some knitted fingerless gloves after this. Hey. Chew. No way, that was awesome. So he wanted to disappear through that painted doorway.
was 4 when Milton disappeared.
So we do have another level of stuff, right? Is that where or have we been up there?
Mom spent months searching for my brother. Then she sealed the doors.
Can we go through? Maybe we'll find Milton now.
Whatever Milton had found in the house, Mom didn't want it getting out.
Oh, was this optional? Okay.
Mom definitely blamed Edie, but I think Lewis blamed himself. After he graduated, he just spent more and more time in his room. Until Mom got him a job at the cannery.
Oh. Let's head into the boat shack. Shisha pipe.
Lewis's room smelled very, very familiar. That part of him lived on.
Guess he learned to cope through self-medicating. Lewis Finch, locker contents. Maybe they did go to normal high school, yeah. Orcas Island Regional High School. High school diploma. Dawn Finch, Greater Seattle Institute of Psychology. This isn't going to be good. He went, yeah.
Mrs. Finch, as Lewis's psychiatrist, I can understand your desire for an explanation. As I see it, the trouble began in January, shortly after we convinced your son to seek treatment for substance abuse. Newly sober, I believe Lewis first noticed the monotony of his daily life. He kept working at the cannery. But he withdrew part of himself. In our sessions, I saw the same behavior. His mind began to wander. I asked him to describe it. He said he started small, imagining a labyrinth. He'd feel his way about. Then something moved. Bats. And toads. And things that have not names. He knew it was all in his head. But he took it very seriously. I had hoped he'd find himself. But he found something more. I worried about him then. Daydreaming at the cannery, I spoke with his boss. But he said Lewis had become a model employee. Methodical, tireless, focused. Like a whole new Lewis. So I let him go on. I even encouraged him. It seemed very promising at first. He told me he'd made a new friend. On the edge of a city he named Lewis Topia. He built the city up slowly, brick by brick. Then he made musicians. And songs for them to play. He talked about starting a band. And he was always humming something. Every day his imagination grew stronger. He no longer spoke at the cannery. But his chopping was as reliable as ever. Then one day it struck him that all the cheering crowds, even the stones under his feet, were all in his imagination. So he could do whatever he wished. He held an election for mayor. And he won. They begged him to stay, but his mind was already wandering. It became a game for him. He'd conquer a city, then immediately push on. New Louisville. St. Louis. He started drifting away from our reality. Minneapolis. Until one day he forgot to go home from the cannery. Even as his mother pleaded with him, part of Lewis kept sailing on. In Lewisburg, he heard rumors of a handsome queen. The queen was on her own quest for
serpents.
Sinister serpents. followed the sound of
her silver harp.
silver harp. His chase led him to a golden palace east of the sun and west of the moon. Even then, his logic remained sound. He knew the world was all in his imagination. But he was so proud of having created it. In his own eyes, he'd become something greater than a king. For someone who'd never known success in the real world, I think it was overwhelming. And then it struck him that the real Lewis was not the one chopping salmon, but the one climbing the steps of a golden palace. My imagination is as real as my body, he told me. It was hard to argue with him. Began to forget the world we know. I think it pained him to remember Lewis, the cannery worker. He began to despise the man with a royal contempt. I still thought I could save him. Even after he said he was being crowned king over all the lands of wonder. The palace would be packed with his companions. Including the wise Calico who'd insisted on inviting him. His queen waited, holding his crown. There was only one thing left to do. Bend down his head. I think you know. Mrs. Finch, your son was a kind man who will be missed by all of us who knew him.
My brother was really cool. I wish you could have met him. Lewis and I spent a lot of time playing games together, but he was surprisingly bad at them. He died a lot.
God, that one really hurt.
On the way back from Lewis's funeral, my mom told me to start packing. She waited until the day before we left to tell Edie. I'm not sure if she wanted to make it easier or harder. I wish we'd stayed. But I understand why we left. My mom ended up leaving everything behind. What happened that night had been coming for a long time. Maybe it should have come sooner. But it had to end one way or another. All that's left now is to tell you about that last night.
Oh man. It's just you could really feel that one coming with Lewis then. I mean, we know everyone's died, but you know, just the way the story was going.
That whole last day, Edie just watched us pack and didn't say a word. Until supper, when she raised her glass and said,
"To our final night together, and all our final nights apart."
Grandma, you know what I said about alcohol. Some of your medications are very
Edith,
specific.
I left a present for you in the hallway. Why don't you go open it? The grown-ups have to argue now.
I'm sorry, you're right. We're all leaving tomorrow. Let's just enjoy our last...
I'm not leaving.
Edith, you're excused.
the power had been shut off that morning, but Edie always had plenty of candles. When my mom sealed the library, I don't think she knew about the other entrance. Or that Edie had a key to it.
What are we going to find in here?
That thing you're afraid of isn't going to end when you leave the house.
Just with Lewis, I mean, I guess he was quite young when he started with the substance abuse. And, I'm not anti-drugs or anything by any means, but, cannabis is very dangerous in a developing brain.
Right to know these stories. My children are dead because of your stories. I think it's best if Edith and I leave tonight. We'll have the nursing home send a van for you in the morning. Okay?
Dear Edith, there's so many stories I wish I could tell you, but there's only time for one. This is about what happened on the night you were born. That night, the tide went way, way out.
You could make...
It was the first and last time I ever saw the old house aground.
No way.
There'd been an earthquake out in the middle of the ocean. They called it the lowest tide in 1,000 years. God, it smelled awful. You know, I've seen that house every day of my life. But I never thought I'd go back to it. When the fog rolled in, I lost my way. I got turned around. I started seeing things. Things I'd forgotten had ever existed. But when I saw them, they felt like old friends. That night, a lot of things came back to me. Or maybe I came back to them. Things I can't explain, but that I need you to try and...
Edith, what are you doing in here?
It's mine.
Edith!
Mom, you're gonna rip it. Let go. I kicked and screamed, but Mom dragged me to the car. I never saw Great Grandma Edie again. The next morning, the van came to pick her up, but she was already gone. After that, we moved around a lot. We both tried to make the best of it. A few years went by. My mom didn't like to talk about it. But she started getting sick a lot. The rest happened pretty quickly. She got better for a while, and then she didn't. And then I was alone. The last Finch left alive. Until until I found out about you. I'm still not sure what to tell you about all this. If we lived forever, maybe we'd have time to understand things. But as it is, I think the best we can do is try to open our eyes. And appreciate how strange and brief all of this is. This journal was supposed to be for you. But now I hope you'll never see it. I just want to meet you and tell you all these stories myself. But I guess if you're reading this now, things didn't work out that way. This is where your story begins. I'm sorry I won't be there to see it. It's a lot to ask, but I don't want you to be sad that I'm gone. I want you to be amazed that any of us ever had a chance to be here at all. Good luck.
Wow. So yeah, they were all cursed, man. So I mean, I guess that means, you know, Edith died in childbirth. Wonder if there was any details I missed, or whether it was completely linear. Are there any deaths that I could have got more information in our diary in? It really crescendoed then. It just just destroyed me, that whole bit with just got an achievement. Thanks, Johan. That bit with Lewis just absolutely destroyed me, man. Wow, what a very special experience that was. Yeah, I played that all in one sitting because I figured that's how it was supposed to be played. I mean, it was, what, about maybe 3 hours? Not sure. The house had just sort of become a shrine, really, hadn't it? It's sort of to immortalise the lives of everyone who'd lived and died there. Some of them we got more literal depictions of, others were more more fantastical depictions. It seemed to have been like, all of them seem to have been haunted by something. Nice way to do the credits here. We spent a lot of the game looking around photos, didn't we? Oh, what an emotional man. I'm still not holding it together. So, did I miss? I mean, we got the stories for Edie and Dawn, but I didn't get to see them drawn in, so maybe I did miss something. I don't think so. Yeah, because Dawn and Edie's story is told together, isn't it? Yeah. Wow. What a very special experience, guys. Still struggling to talk a little bit, but yeah, a great experience. Appreciate all the recommendations. Definitely worth it, this one. You know, really nice minimal soundtrack. Some great stylistic sections, like the sections for Molly and for Barbara and for Lewis. Maybe there was, I don't know if there was something more we could have learned about Milton. I felt like that's where it was going, but that wasn't perhaps that wasn't as, you know, not everything has to be tied up. It's one of those things that's always a different, it's always a contrast between American style storytelling and more European style storytelling, at least in mainstream stuff. You know, American stuff tends to want to put conclusions on anything, but the mystery with Milton, you know, we just don't know what happened to him. You know, and that's the thing, even more in European filmmaking at least, there's not a need to conclude everything, which sometimes makes it feel a bit more like real life. You know, things don't always have such definitive ends. You know, things tend to just carry on in one way or another. Whew. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this series, guys. A short but very meaningful one. I'm a bit lost for words just because yeah, just the end of the game just sort of hit me in the right in the chest there. You know, graphically the game was really good, extremely detailed. I enjoyed looking at all the family photographs and all the extra details. You know, you know, the whole sealing of doors thing. If you've ever had to go through, you know, the things or items of a family member or person who's passed away, you know, it's a horrible experience. And it's sort of like what Dawn had done. She just sealed it away. She didn't want to have to throw it all away or any of that stuff. Right, guys, so yeah, I'll leave that there. I hope you've enjoyed What Remains of Edith Finch. If you have, maybe leave a like on the video. Consider sharing with other people who might be interested in watching any of my videos. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe so you can join me here in Clan Drummond. Just remember, everybody, never trust an on-crate. Right, I will see you in the next one, where I'll hopefully not be as much of an emotional mess. I'll see you then.